Welcome to Diary of a Dreamer, where resilience unlocks your potential. I'm Tasha Eisinger, and each week I'll bring you powerful stories and practical insights from my own experiences and inspiring guests. Whether you're facing challenges or chasing dreams, this podcast is your go-to for motivation, building confidence, and practical tips for transforming obstacles into opportunities. Be sure to check out my website, tashaeisinger.com. Let's dive into today's episode and start turning your dreams into reality. I have saved the biggest headache for last. That is printing. Printing has by far been the biggest headache consistently with being a picture book author. Now, if you are going through one of the big five, they're going to print, store, distribute all of that for you. You will want to ask how you can get author copies. These are copies that you can have in your own home and take them to author visits or sell them, that sort of thing. So you will want to know if you go through a traditional publisher, especially if it's the big five, but also if it's a small publisher, what are the rules here and what are you allowed to do and not allowed to do? I know even with some small publishers, there's only certain methods of payment they want you to take, and there's other rules. So make sure you know those rules and that it's all in writing so that you know what you're doing. However, if you are doing more of like the hybrid of picture book publishing or chapter book publishing, where you're working probably with a small publisher of some kind and it has that feel of self-publishing, or if you are completely self-published, this is going to be important information for you to have. I've had to learn through the University of Hard Knocks, and I want to share those lessons with you now. If you have done anything in graphic design or printing in the past, a lot of this isn't going to surprise you. For me, it was very surprising. Okay. I didn't even know how to take my Microsoft Word document and get it into book format. Okay. I have met an author who completely did her book through Canva, and she printed it and everything. I think you can print through Canva. So that is an option, especially if you're wanting to do a smaller batch of printing, if it's more for family and friends, or if you're just wanting to see kind of what it looks like, that is an option to do that. If you remember, I said in the first video of how to become an author, you will get proofs. So any printing company should send you proofs. So when you get those proofs, that's when you can make the adjustments. That's where the headache for me has come in, is when I see all these proofs. I've invested more money in proofs than I thought I would. They're not very expensive when you only get one or two, but it adds up over time. In regards to printing companies, you can obviously do your own searches. I'm also going to include a lot of links and articles for you so that you can filter your search to make it a little bit easier for you. Big ones to consider would be, of course, Amazon, Ingram Spark, local print shops, and overseas. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons. I'm going to have a chart too on my blog so that you can actually see a visual of all of this. But number one, Amazon. So Amazon's a behemoth. You know, you can love to hate them and hate to love them, but it is what it is. So with Amazon, you're going to want to make sure that you follow their margins. With all of these print shops, know your margins, whether it's a chapter book or a full out picture book. That's very important. And it's going to be different too, I think. If you do everything digitally, it will probably print true to color a lot better than if it's been painted or, use colored pencils and things like that. It's going to be more true to color, most likely. Okay. Now, know your margins. Amazon if you go to Amazon KDP, that's where you can get all the information about that as well as pricing it. Now, one of the challenges of printing through Amazon is It's a huge company. So if you have issues, this is where it's great to have a small publisher represent you so that they can go to bat for you. And it's not just you advocating for yourself if there's any issues. Okay. However, they have done okay with customer service for us. Just know that on the front end. That's why using a local printer sometimes is kind of nice, is there's that more personal interaction. Of course, you're going to get the margins. They're also going to send you proofs. Skim through those proofs and make sure that it's what you approve. And then you're also going to set your own pricing. One of the things that has surprised me is that they can change the price. It's your book, but it's their business. So they can change the price. So sometimes I've signed in and I'm like, they have like significantly discounted this. So why would anybody buy from my website or from me? Thanks, Amazon. So be aware of that. And you will get a percentage back. So you'll link it to your bank account, all of that. They will pay you. I can't remember if it's at the end of the month or a couple months later after you've earned your royalties. It's very minimal compensation. So that's part of the reason why I don't actually know when it is, because it's such a small compensation. Also, if you strictly use Amazon, there are courses on how to market it on Amazon to get reviews. One of the things to keep in mind when you officially publish it on Amazon, if that's going to be your main source of printing and distribution, because it is nice, they store it, they distribute it, they do all of that for you. Let all of your family and friends know, hey, if you're buying the book, buy it right now because it's available. Okay. Or buy it on this date. That's when it will go live. So when you approve it and push it needs to go live, it's not going to necessarily be an instantaneous thing. They do print and distribute all of that. Not print and distribute. They print it and ship it for you. I want people also to leave honest reviews. That's important. If you're just getting all 5 stars and glowing reviews and all of that, and then actual consumers start purchasing it and they're like, actually, it's not authentic. So tell people to leave honest reviews. It could even be like, great book, loved it. It doesn't have to be flowing and poetic either. Okay. So there is a strategy to selling through Amazon, but it is a place where you can print it and have it go out to people. I also recommend, because it's such a big company, and we will talk about some of the printing issues that you may face. I do recommend when you hit publish, get some author copies right away and make sure that those author copies are printed well. Just because you approved the proof doesn't mean you're going to love the finished product from such a big company. And that can be challenging in and of itself. So get your author copies right away so that if there is a fire to put out, it's much smaller than waiting months down the road and finding out through consumers that maybe the print job was terrible. You may also have to, depending on coloration, you might need to do like the full color saturated premium printing options. You're going to lose a little bit of money doing it that way on any of the companies that you choose. You're also going to want to print if you want perfect binding or staple binding. Perfect binding is where it's glued. It does look more professional. Staple binding is cheaper. You're going to make a little more with royalties. From any of the companies that you choose to print through, you're going to make less royalties if you do perfect binding. So keep all of that in mind, and you can ask your illustrator or whoever, your publisher, whoever's involved with this, to make sure that you're all on the same page. The Little Shot illustrator, Miranda, and I have definitely decided we would rather have less royalties and be really happy with the finished product than save a buck or two per book by using cheaper options. So when it comes to printing it, binding it, storing it, and distributing it, Ingram Spark is a big company to work with. They have, options for picture book publishing where it's like premium print quality, as well as doing some marketing for you. Some of it you have to pay for, some of it you don't. But when you are in Ingram Spark, the great news is whenever a library says, "Oh, where do you print or who are you published by?" Even if you're self-published, it doesn't necessarily matter with the public library. If you say that you print through Ingram Spark, it will be in their system, like they can order it. There's also some bookstores that they order their books through Ingram Spark. So if you're wanting to distribute it and get it out to libraries and bookstores and into more hands, Ingram Spark is a great option because it is a bigger company and can do that for you. A lot of the other things with Amazon apply. You must know your margins. Please know your margins. Know your margins. Know what kind of paper you want to print on. That was another thing, comparing. You might get proofs from multiple companies and compare them. Okay, it's better to make sure you love your product before you officially make it go live and do this work on the front end. So feel the pages. One of the companies that we use, the pages felt shiny, and I guess they look shiny, they felt glossy, and it was almost hard to turn the pages. And so we didn't like that very much. So make sure that you like the paper. Look at the paper, feel the paper as you turn your book. The cover, one of the covers that I've printed through a different company, like it felt a little bit more like cardboard and wasn't as flexible. Okay. And making sure that you like all aspects. You can also get in picture book, I don't remember what it's called, but it's kind of like a crease already put in the cover so that when they open it, it doesn't rip the book apart. So I can't remember what that's called. It's like perforated, kind of. Making sure that every detail is the way you want it. And here again, you can go to the library, take all of your proofs and compare them to books at the library or at a bookstore and see what you like and don't like. Here again, Ingram Spark will send you your royalties. Whenever anybody returns books, you will see a deduction in royalties as well. So keep that in mind, and you have options of how those returns go, whether it's incinerated or actually sent back to the company. It's so sad. If anybody can change some laws where they have to donate the books, that would be great. It would be so great. So that will also affect your royalties, and that is from Ingram Spark in particular and books who do the distribution. So Amazon does, the print on demand, and then they just, sell them, whereas Ingram does print on demand, but they distribute them. Another option is checking out local print shops. I know where I'm from, there's a couple local to me, within an hour radius of me that are options. Some things when it's a smaller print shop, you need to know about printing and your options with covers, pages, margins. Have I said margins enough? Margin. And if they have premium printing options, print meaning like coloration, right? If this is a chapter book, you're probably not going to see printing as big of a headache. If it's all black and white in a chapter book, you won't. I've teased that any future picture books I do is just going to be black and white to make it easier. Oh. So you'll want to know about that. You want to know about what kind of binding they have. Some of them can only do staple binding because the perfect binding is so expensive to do. It requires different equipment. Okay. You'll want to know about, do they store them for you? Because some places can do storage. You'll have to pay a monthly payment for that. Is it something that they can, what's their capacity for printing? How many can they do? What is their turnaround time? How much time do they need from you? Because maybe all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I'm out of inventory and I need books." You want to know how long does it take typically for them to get the books printed. I've had, a big bulk order that was sent to Advent Health in Tampa, Florida, to the hospitals. And so I wanted to know if they could ship directly to the hospital for me, which was a step that was very valuable. It saved me a lot of time and energy and wanting to know how they shipped and the packaging and all of that. So these are questions that you'll want to ask to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Here again, you'll get your proofs. And what's great about using a local printer, of course, you're supporting another small business, which is wonderful. But when you have issues, I think because you can go in belly to belly, face to face, and talk about, what happened and why, sometimes they can even tell you, oh, when you were in InDesign, maybe you need to change the setting or something. So InDesign, when you are new, is a really hard program to learn how to use. And so sometimes those local print shops, or maybe even your local library, can help you figure out how to do everything correctly with the settings and layering things on the pages. This is a language that I don't understand because I don't have to, thankfully. My publisher takes care of all of that, but it is like a language to learn. So if you're concerned about that at all, a local print shop and of course your local library could quite possibly help you with that. Typically with a local print shop or even through Amazon, your author copies, you're going to make a much larger profit margin. You set your price when it's your author copies, unless you're working with the big five or some of the small publishing companies. You get to set your price. You determine this is the price that I am requesting on my website, vendor events, author visits, or when people buy it from me out of my trunk in my car. You decide the price, you get to know your royalties, and that's how you get paid back. So one of the things I strongly recommend, anytime you sell a book, please do this. Set money back. Take your top line. This is what my revenue, right? What I sold it for. Then deduct your inventory cost, and you're going to put that money into an account, and I round up. So if it costs you $6.50 a book, round up to $7. You set your price, meet with your own CPA, make sure that you're doing this correctly. This is what I do. So then you're saving money per book for your next round of inventory. And then you're going to deduct your taxes, anywhere from 25 to 30% in taxes. You need to know your state's laws and all of that, but set that back. And I hide that money. I put it in a different account. It's set back. Even if you're like, I'm not going to owe taxes this year, set it back. Get into that habit of setting it back. Listen, it could be a rainy day fund. Maybe someday you're going to need that money, okay? But don't touch it. That's your tax money. And then from there, you can do your royalties and your payouts from there. That's my recommendation. That's the agreement between my illustrator and me. We are on the same page with that, but that's how I do it. So please make sure you're setting money back from your book sales for future inventory and taxes. Now, if you're going to print overseas, as of the time of this recording and my knowledge, all of this can be changing, obviously, but what I have found is, yes, you can make significantly more per book. However, you have to pay up front, even before you have approved the proofs. So investing $5,000 in a much larger royalty is not a bad deal. But with all of the printing issues we've had with coloration, there is no way I'm going to use some random company without being able to be there in person or close by, or ensuring that I'm going to love the finished product and drop $5,000. I'm not doing it. If it was a sure thing that I would love it, big picture, $5,000 to make significantly more per book would be great. What I have found is you pay for the money up front, then the proofs for this one company was like a couple $100, not like 15 to 20 starts adding up pretty quick when you're sending to the illustrator or your publisher or yourself and doing multiple rounds of proofs. That can add up to hundreds of dollars pretty quickly. But for one proof. So you do your own research. Maybe you'll find something that you like better. That's how some people are able to make so much more money per book or even charge way less per book. Board book printing is not something that I have pursued yet because you have to buy like thousands of copies at one time. It's pretty pricey. And I have not found a great option for that. I know it'd be fun to have a board book. The Little Shot series would be so cute for like little babies to flip through. That's down the road. And if that's something that you're really passionate about pursuing, I encourage you to do your research. And it's been a couple years since I've looked into it. It's not really something that I'm considering at this point in time. So you may find better research on that. And of course, if I find any articles, I will definitely link them for you to help narrow your search. So with all of these companies and like print on demand as an option, it's great because you don't have to deal with storage. I know with my author copies, I have them in huge totes. I spent a good amount of money on like good quality totes that are flat on the bottom. I'm very protective of my books because water and fire are death to books. So my books are in the basement and water can be an issue in basements. So I am very protective of them and even have baking soda to absorb any moisture and charcoal to protect my books. And they're in big storage totes. Okay. You can store books in facilities as well. Typically, you're not going to want to have a huge inventory unless here again, you're printing it, you're buying overseas or something like that. Here is something I think is really important for you to know, aside from maybe margins being off or potentially having like smudges and things on your pages when it prints. That can be fixed a lot of times in InDesign. Obviously you don't want pages out of order or things cut off. So look through page by page. Your chapter book, you're going to want to look through every single page, make sure that you're happy with the print job. Another thing to know about is when you print and it's full color, this is mind-boggling. You could love it and get your proofs, love your proofs. You could get your final copies and love your final copies. And then let's say you do another round of printing 6 months down the road or whatever, and it looks a little different. The color looks a little different. That is normal. So one of the things that you're going to want to be aware of, depending on who you print through, is where it was printed from, if you need to make returns. So like Ingram Spark has multiple printing facilities. So maybe the proof was printed one place, but then you bought your author copies and it was sent from another place. It's a different printer. It's the same company, and it could be the same printer model and still print differently. Your coloration can even look different based on the humidity. So it could be your small local printer. They print it in the winter, they print it in the summer, and color is going to look different. There's nothing wrong with the printer. It's mind-boggling. So just know that coloration is fickle. And also, if you've approved the color through one company, it does not mean that you're going to like it through another company. This is why sometimes like the big five, they will do a mass printing at the same time so it looks the same, because it can vary slightly depending on, like I said, humidity, time of the year. It can be the same model of printer in the same building, but they're both going to print a little bit differently. So just be aware of that. Set proper expectations that if you have created full color, vibrant illustrations, it may not look exactly how you envisioned it or even exactly how it looks in real life. I would love to know if there's other things that you want to learn about as an author. Please share them with me. I've been doing this now for almost 10 years and going through the ringer, learning through University of Hard Knocks. Like I said, did not even know how to take my Microsoft Word document and turn it into an actual tangible book. So there are no dumb questions at all, I promise, because a lot of times you can save a lot of headaches if you ask the question. So please let me know. I'm happy to write blogs or do more of these videos for you to help you on your journey. At the very least, I really hope that you get the story out of you, get it on paper, and even if it's one copy, print it for yourself so that you have it. Sometimes it can be hard to believe in ourselves on this crazy journey of being an author. And I want you to know, even without personally knowing you, I believe in you. You can do this. You are capable of doing hard things, and you can do this. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Diary of a Dreamer. I hope you found the stories and tips shared today to be a source of motivation and strength. Remember, every challenge you face is a chance to grow and move closer to your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with anyone who could use a boost of encouragement. Please check out my website, TashaIsinger.com.